Lord Ed Vaizey, welcome to Talk Drive.
Oh, hee-haw.
Oh, hee-haw. Where are you?
I'm just in my dressing room.
You're not in your dressing room. You're at some quaint London club where ex-cabinet ministers... Oh, no, you shouldn't be there. You didn't make the cabinet. How are you, dear boy? You all right?
I'm where junior ministers go to die.
Oh, God, that doesn't sound very good. Right, loads to talk about. Where do we start? Are you a football fan, Vaizey?
Oh, yeah, I know so much about football.
You don't, do you?
I know a bit.
So Southgate...
It's like my French. I can get by.
All right, right. So Gareth Southgate's resigned, yeah? Yeah? Who do you think should be the next England manager?
Well, in honour of Jodie, I'm going for Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, but you see, in honour of Jodie, but you see, yeah, but that's great, and I gave that earlier, and then Charlie Wyatt, the editor of The Sun, football, right, said, and he's very true, Liverpudlian fans, they don't like the national anthem, they boo it, the link between Klopp and the Liverpool fans and England, not a good shout. So you didn't really think that through, did you?
Oh, I had no idea the Liverpool fans don't cheer the national anthem. They ring your show... They ring your show, complain about immigration, and then boo the national anthem.
There you go.
What's all that about?
Absolutely right. Well, welcome to the show.
That's not on.
You've turned into a bit of a weak liberal in your old age, Vaizey. So let's just throw this out there. In the 11 days that Sir Keir Starmer has been the Prime Minister, 1,185 migrants have crossed the Channel. And, of course, when your name's on the tin, you're not sat in the cheap seats, the pressure turns on to you. Naturally, during the campaign, Ed, he didn't have to say an awful lot. In fact, it would be fair to say that the Ming Vase approach worked brilliantly because the Tories destroyed themselves. Do you believe that beyond saying, as he has, I'm going to smash the gangs and I'm going to set up a border command, do you believe that Labour are any nearer to having a solution to a problem that spreads across the world, it seems, than the past government? Because we haven't heard any detail, my friend.
No, I don't think they're closer to finding a solution. I tend, weirdly, to kind of find myself in a position of defending the Labour government, and I'm not quite sure why. But I think the reason is this, that I think the Tory party, of which I'm still a member and take the Tory whip in the House of Lords, did expend a lot of time and energy on the Rwanda plan and spent a lot of money on it. And there was no case that said that the Rwanda plan was actually going to have an impact. I had no, in principle, objection to the Rwanda plan. I have even 20 years ago, the Tories proposed processing immigrants overseas, illegal immigrants overseas, loosely based on the Australian scheme, which may or may not have worked. Again, I'm not an expert, but the Australians did have a scheme to do that, and they claimed that it had a big impact. So I wasn't against it in principle, but obviously it was extremely hard to implement and never got off the ground, literally. And I think Keir Starmer is taking a kind of workmanlike approach. Right. For example, in the papers today, he's saying he's going to talk to Giorgia Meloni, the right-wing Prime Minister of Italy. Italy is very much on the front line, like Greece, in terms of where a lot of immigrants are coming across the Mediterranean from North Africa. And it is obvious to me that obviously two things need to happen. One is all European countries, whether you're in the European Union or not, need to work in concert to smash the supply chain, if you like, of the gangs who take illegal immigrants from places like North Africa and bring them into Europe. And secondly, we need an immigration policy that everyone can share the load. That is almost impossible.
I think that's a really interesting point. So today we have news, and I know you'll do that lordship look at me, but this is the bit I've never got. So today Labour has shelved a foreign worker crackdown, despite the fact that we have a population surge, despite the fact that our public services are creaking. Answer me this, because you're far more intelligent than me. What do you say to the people in this country, many of whom listen and watch this programme and this station, that they've worked all their lives, Ed, they've paid their stamp, they've never broken the law, and they see a policy now that seems to favour people coming to this country over them? Hear me out, humanitarianism is fine, but there are people obviously taking advantage of a country that they believe is soft. And I think it's a really important point, and people just don't answer. Do you understand why people would feel like that? Because I do.
Yes, and also again, I don't understand what is happening. In theory, obviously, Brexit was about controlling our borders. Now, what that meant was that the anti-immigration point of Brexit was that anyone in the European Union could come and live and work in the UK. The quid pro quo was that we could go and live and work in Europe, and a lot of people found out after Brexit that their retirement plans, particularly in France and Spain, for people on relatively modest incomes who could go and buy a house abroad and live a great lifestyle in places like southern Spain, which are much cheaper than living in England, couldn't do that anymore. And the idea was that, we were being overrun by Polish builders and Romanian plumbers, and that wasn't acceptable to the British public. So in theory, we gained control of our borders. So how did it happen that immigration went up, and to the extent that we had 750,000 immigrants? Now, there are two things within that we need to be realistic and open about. One is, how many of those immigrants, in inverted commas, are actually students? We are, along with Australia, the USA and Canada, we have the most successful global universities in the world. Because English is the common language of the world, people want to come and study in those 4 countries, and we compete. And every time we crack down on students, other countries like Australia, which has a tough immigration policy, rub their hands with glee and say, we're going to get all these foreign students, they're going to study here, they're going to put money into our economy, and then when they go back to their countries, they're going to love Australia. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is, are people coming to this country because they've got family ties? We've got a huge amount of an immigrant population that's now been here 2 or 3 generations from places like India and Pakistan. Are people coming over because they have family ties? In my experience as a minister, even under Cameron, we made it as difficult as possible for people to get visas. We hiked the prices up. We made them go to immigration centres in their home countries that were miles from where they lived. We made the whole process very difficult. If you try to immigrate legally into the US, you'll find it's extremely difficult to get the right visa.
Do you accept?
So what I don't understand, why the level of immigration is so high.
I agree. There's loads I want to ask you very quickly.
And I do, and again...
You understand people's frustration, though, right?
Dripping woke liberal that I am, I would like to stop the boats. I just want it to be a...
Why don't we turn them round, then? Why don't we turn the boats around?
A policy that actually works.
Why don't we turn the boats around with the Royal Navy? Answer me that. Why don't we turn 3 boats around and send them back to France? Why don't we do that? Why not? Why not?
Because I think it's physically impossible to do that.
Tow them. Tow them. Right, listen, so that's right. So now the next thing is, you must have watched over the weekend. You must have watched this entire... I mean, this whole Trump thing is just an extraordinary sort of... I mean, this man, the Capitol riots, 4 years later, the bullet whistling past. I mean, one court case closed. Biden can't give up, doesn't want to. His assistant's less popular than this box of tissues, so they're bugging up, excuse my French. They're screwed, aren't they, the Democrats? I mean, Trump, I mean, it's a shoo-in, Ed, and now we've got J.D. Vance, a hillbilly senator from Ohio, who's described England as potentially the first Islamist country with nuclear weapons. Let's get a woke liberal who used to be a Tory. Let's get his response to it. Lord Ed Vaizey, go for your life.
Well, obviously, it's fun. We could now wage jihad on America, so that's good news. Obviously, J.D. Vance was trying to make a joke. It was basically a racist joke, and it was a very bad joke. And it's ironic considering he's married to a lady who is Indian and Hindu, that he would make that kind of joke. But he was, if you watch the video, it was an attempt at humour. It wasn't serious, but it was in very bad taste. And it's not helpful. And I worry about a Trump-Vance presidency because we work so closely with the United States in terms of our security, that anything that breaks down our special relationship is very, very worrying for our own.
He's going to win, though, isn't he, Ed? He's going to win.
Oh, he's going to win. Yeah. He's going to win. No question he's going to win. I mean, I have to say those pictures are... I was talking about it to a friend of mine tonight at the bar, which I've just had to tear myself away from. And I said to him that those pictures are extraordinary. You are watching one of the most famous people in the world cheat death by a matter of millimeters. I mean, it's extraordinary.
And then have the foresight to feel the blood running down his face and stand up and do that. That iconic,
So exactly right, Jeremy. Not only do you see that extraordinary image of him cheating death by millimeters, you then have a photograph, which, if you didn't know better, had been completely staged. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like a Renaissance painting. The American flag, Trump rising from the middle of his bodyguards with his fist aloft, his face defiant. I mean, Michelangelo could have painted that. It's unbelievable.
It's true. Somebody said to me yesterday, although I'm not particularly a big fan of the bandage on the ears. I thought that was a bit crap. But somebody...
Well, it makes him look like Pudsey.
Yeah, it does look a bit Pudsey. Somebody said to me yesterday, they said, or today, they said, no, it was yesterday, said, the thing about it is, I said, how do you seriously feel about the Biden administration? And one of the Americans said, the thing is, right, the American people who are undecided, so the Democrats will support Biden. Anyway, Biden screwed the whole of the Democratic Party because they picked Kamala Harris for diversity reasons. She's less popular than that box of tissues. And if they even begin to bypass Kamala Harris, that'll be deemed the worst thing ever. So the Democrats know they're on to a loser. But he said all the people are undecided and now having to make a decision between a man who doesn't know his name and would actually fall over with a shaving cut, and a man who's just survived a bullet to the head. And yeah, you put your head in your hands, but it's true, Ed, isn't it? I mean, in terms of politics, if he cut himself shaving, Biden would fall over. Trump just rises with blood on his face. Extraordinary, like you said, right?
Yeah, and the Democrats basically now say, do you want the old guy or the crazy guy? That's the choice.
That's it.
And basically, if you choose the old guy, at least you have the insurance policy that the people around him are not old. You know, he's got a great...
No, but they're running it, aren't they? He doesn't even know what's going on.
Everyone knows they're running the government.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather they were running that government than Trump's guys.
What has happened to you?
I'm not about to become... I'm not about to become foreign secretary.
I don't know. Well, you might be brought back from the dead. But the thing about you is you used to be such a Tory. You've become a complete wet since you lost the opportunity of going into the cabinet. What's happened to you?
It's really unbelievable, isn't it? I'm so left-wing.
Now doctors are being... Now, you read the front page of the Mail. I'll get your response on this quickly.
I'm not woke on this one. I'm sound on this one,
Doctors are being told
Jeremy.
to lecture us on climate change. Might it be respectful to say, why don't they work longer hours and more days and bloody well see some patients? Am I missing the point?
No, I mean, if it's true, what the I mean, obviously you've got to take what the Daily Mail writes with a pinch of salt, but if it's true, there's a directive gone out. You've got to talk to people about their You've got to give them ecotherapy when they've come to see you about their bunions.
I'm sorry you've got high cholesterol, but could I talk about your carbon footprint? Can I not? You know what I mean?
That is taking things.
There are still green shoots of Toryism inside you. Ed Vaizey, we finished this week.
It stirred something inside me, Jeremy.
Oh, by the way,
It reminded me of who I once was.
And also, I suspect you would agree with me, Vaughan Gethings, the shortest surviving leader in Wales. He's only lasted 4 months. He's resigned today.
The Liz Truss of Wales.
The Liz Truss of Wales. Perhaps it should be a pointer of what Labour will actually be like in the rest of the United Kingdom.
Ooh. Well, I did it on my Times radio show today, and I did say, doesn't Keir Starmer have questions to answer? Should he have intervened earlier? I mean, he's basically the big boss.
Interesting.
Said, sorry, Vaughan.
Yes, a radio programme on what station?
Times Radio. Heard of it?
What time's it on?
We look up to you. We're on the 14th floor.
Fantastic.
Or do we look down on you?
Final question. Hey, biscuit wars. A simple question has sparked a heated debate amongst Brits, Lord Ed Vaizey, as they battle over which biscuit is the worst of all time. From the humble rich tea to crumbly shortbread, biscuits are being categorised by celebrities. What is the worst biscuit in your mind, Lord Ed Vaizey?
Oh, rich tea.
Everybody says that I love a rich tea.
No, pointless biscuit. Totally pointless.
Now, Jodie likes a bourbon. She also likes Ryan likes a jammy Dodger. I'm quite partial.
I'm not a fan of. No, it's a chocolate hobnob.
Oh, I can't hear him. I can't hear what Lord Ed Vaizey said. They're all shouting at me.
Chocolate hobnob.
All right, you don't have to shout. Have you seen the Peter Kay sketch?
You couldn't hear me.
Have you heard the Peter Kay sketch when he goes, oh, rich tea, you dunk it and it flops? He said the chocolate hobnob, he said, is like the Marines. It dunked me. Go on, dunk me again. Keep dunking. I ain't breaking. Dunk me, man. Chocolate hobnob for Lord Ed Vaizey. Can I point out, if you're watching this on television or on YouTube, Lord Ed Vaizey has said that he's in a high-class London bar and he's turned away from it. We actually think it's a courtroom and you're waiting for the ruling. Mate, great to have you on. Always is a pleasure. I'm going to keep going so that you don't become a Liberal. Lord Ed Vaizey, former Conservative Minister,